Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com, and the game is World of Tanks. This is World of Tanks 9.8. This is my French tanks. I'm going to be talking about my French tanks, but specifically about the crew. And here's the situation. I have a tank called the AMX 5100. And what happened was World of Tanks did a special domination battle mode for 1 month, and they had a tank that was a successor to this, and instead of putting in a base crew that had no skills, I took the crew that was in this tank, which is actually right here, and I moved them into the AMX 50B, played domination for a month, and now I'm ready to put them back. So basically what I have to do is I have to reassign my crew. I'm going to get rid of the temporary crew, and I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to send them to the barracks, and I'm going to return the loader because there's no loader in the AMX 5100, which is a heavy tank. So I need to have an extra one for the FCM 50T. It's the same crew. The crew is shared. And I have no other heavy tanks. So now I have to replace the AMX 5100. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the crew back in. They're going to be in red. Okay, so the crew has been moved back into the tank. However, let's look at these other tanks real quick. Here's the situation. This crew, you'll see, has 3 skills with 80% on the 3rd skill. My ARL V39 has 73%, that's good. My AMX 1390 has 80%, that's good. SAR 42, this I'm just goofing around with. I'm not trying to get anywhere with this. This crew is kind of temporary. I'm not worried about that crew. The Renault G1, same situation. You know, I just took guys who had nothing to do. For example, I could just as easily take any one of these guys and move them in here. So I'm not worried about those 2 guys. I'm worried about the crew from the 5100, the 1390, and the ARL V39. And I want to make sure that my crews are all optimized. That means that I want to make sure that the commander has the most skill. The reason why is because the commander has more skills and perks that are useful as opposed to someone such as the loader. So if you have, for example, 1 skill with everybody, it's better for your commander to have more than 1 skill. Since he has 3 skills at 80%, these are my best crew members, along with this one here. So I want to make sure that he's also my best crew member. This commander's at 73%. It's pretty close to 80. If he had a weaker crew member, for example, if the commander were this gentleman, I would switch him. So the commander is the priority. All of my commanders are rather equal, which is the point that I'm ultimately making. So it doesn't make sense to change any of the commanders. So I've decided that this commander is going to return to his job, which means I'm going to go to here and train him to Tank Academy, and he's going to keep Mentor, Camouflage, and Sixth Sense. Okay. Now the second priority is the gunner, depending on the tank. With a light tank, I would say that he's not the priority. But with most other tanks, I would say the gunner is a priority. Now the issue is we want to have the best gunner possible. As I've already established, my best crew member is 3 skills with 80%, so this is already the best gunner I could put here. So I am going to retrain him to return him to his tank as he originally was. And I'm going to look at, we're going to ignore the SAR 42 and the Renault G1, and we're going to ignore the FCM 50T. This gunner has 2 skills plus Sisterhood of Steel, but Sisterhood of Steel doesn't count And the reason why is because you want the gunner to have, depending on the tank, it could be different. You want him to have camouflage, you want him to have designated target, you want him to have deadeye, and then you're going to want other things like repairs. And depending on how you play, you might do so differently. Some people, in fact, I had repairs when they were playing in Domination. In Domination, having camouflage was useless, so I had swapped them all to have repairs. In fact, I wonder if this one has repairs. No. Okay, so I want to make sure that my gunner basically looks like this. I want him to have the deadeye, designated target, and camouflage. Now you'll notice that my ARL V39 does not. He only has deadeye and camouflage. He doesn't have designated target. So what I could do is I could take the driver here and make him the gunner on my ARL V39. Now, normally I would say, yeah, it's a great idea, go for it. However, this tank has an issue in that it is a very slow tank. Well, I'm sorry, it's not that slow, but it's very difficult to drive, and you have to hide because it's got this big thing on the top, and it's a tank that doesn't really do any spotting, is the point that I'm making. Because you have to stay away from the enemy. You can't take the risk of being spotted. So for this particular tank, I wouldn't care so much about the designated target. But for the tank that I will soon have that comes after it, the AMX AC-46, it's a much better designed tank. I would love to have it on this tank. So I'm undecided as to whether or not I should take this driver and make him the gunner on my ARL V39. This one actually doesn't have 3 skills either. She only has 2 skills. However, this particular gunner is designed for scouting. He doesn't need to have the designated target and the thing to do the damage. What he needs is things like camouflage and snapshot. So I'm probably going to keep that one as it is. Also, I'm not that crazy about tank destroyers. I don't like playing them that much. It's not important for me to have the best crew on the tank destroyer. But for this tank, it is very important for me to have a really good crew. So there's a good chance I will keep this crew on this tank. Smooth ride, camouflage, clutch braking. It's perfect for what I need for this tank. So chances are I'm going to keep them. Although obviously, you know, you have to make choices. I'm going to look at my barracks to see who I have for France. We've got somebody with camouflage, another one with camouflage. This one doesn't have anything. I'm going to get rid of this guy. This one doesn't have anything either. Came from an SPG. This one doesn't have anything. Also came from an SPG. This one does. This one was a temporary person who was during the Domination series when I needed someone to fill a space. 22%, 56%, 24%, 25%. So here's this guy has the highest skill at 56%. And this one is 76, so we're going to keep this guy that's already here at 76. And these are all higher. These are all higher. You'll see that over here, he has no skill. I could put that 76%er over here. Or I could replace this radio operator with the 76%er. But again, I'm not that concerned about those two tanks. So, as for the driver and the radio operator, I don't have better people in the barracks to replace them, so I'm probably not going to. Now, the radio operator has exactly what I want. I want the radio operator to have camouflage and situational awareness. This helps me hide, and it helps me see further. So we're going to keep this guy on. We're going to go to training, current vehicle, and train him. And the only one that I would consider swapping is the driver. The driver's got 3 skills. If he didn't have 3 skills, I would quickly make him the commander. And the ARL V39, I think he's pretty well done up. I mean, there's no reason to swap these guys out. They've already got 2 skills. So I think I'm going to keep this one as it is. I'm going to go to training, current vehicle, and train them. So that's how I dealt with my crew. I believe it's the exact same crew that was originally here before the domination. I had moved them into the AMX 50B. You can see my AMX 50B domination battle games with this crew. So I have what left in the barracks? I've got 4 guys left in the barracks. These guys were the AMX 50B. I may have played a few games with this guy before I decided to swap my crews, which is why he has the 24%. And it looks like these guys have the amounts that they have because they were my temporary crew while I was while my AMX 50 crew was in the other tank. So I'm going to go over here and we are going to see if we can return the crew. And the answer is yes. The crew can now move into the FCM 50T. Everything worked okay. I'm going to put them back here. Now, okay, the radio operator did not return. I think the reason why is because, actually, oh no, we don't want these guys. Get these guys out of here. We now have an issue with the SPG, which I'm going to fix right now. And I'm going to make sure he's got his loader, because we don't want to accidentally use the loader. So we should have 3 or 4 guys in the barracks, 4 guys. All of them have around 24% except for this one guy. Now we're going to look at our tech tree. And you're going to see that I have the tank destroyer. I have what will soon be the AMX 50B. I've got one. This tank is going to produce one of these 2. I haven't decided yet which. That's 3 crews. These 2 I wouldn't count. They're just, like I said, I'm only playing them temporarily, and the crews are not that great anyway. So I'm going to need a crew for the second medium tank, and I'm going to need a crew for the artillery. You'll note that I have not purchased this artillery unit yet, and I haven't started working down this line. One way I could do it is by playing the artillery until I get to here, and the other way I could do it is by getting the AMX 12T, which I would much rather play. I'd much rather play this than play artillery, and then get that. But you do have to check the research. This is 64,000. If we play from here, it's only 31,000. So it's actually less if you take it through the artillery line. Okay, so I am going to purchase this artillery. I'm going to purchase it without a crew. I'm going to buy the additional garage slot. And I'm going to go to my garage. So now I have this new tank, and this tank needs a crew. So let's move these guys in. I always am going to take the better gunner, which would be him. The driver, we need a loader and a loader. These guys are at 60, 80%. We've got some at 71%. The other guy I'm going to get is going to be at 22%. Unless I pick somebody new. Okay, now here's the situation. You've got this commander who has less skill than the gunner. And you really don't want that. You want the commander to have more skills and perks than everybody else, because he's just got, like, there's easily 6 perks that I would want for the commander. However, that's for a regular commander. This is an SPG. The SPG doesn't need repairs. SPG needs camouflage and mentor. That's 2, and recon would be 3, and 6 sense would be 4. After that, you really don't get as much of a benefit. He only needs 4 skills. Now let's see who's in my barracks. I've got one guy in my barracks who's at 24%. I'm going to keep my Sarl 42 and my Renault G1. And now here's an example where I could take this guy, the driver, and make him the commander on my SPG just to get an extra skill over here. So that's the whole point that I was making. But like I was saying, it's an SPG. They sit, they don't do very much. Doesn't need a good driver, for example. The driver could have absolutely no skills, and I'd be perfectly happy with that. He doesn't drive anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to... no matter what you have to do, if I recruit a new loader, in order to get him started, I would have to get him at 100%, which would cost me 200 gold. If I take the guy from the barracks, it's going to cost me, I think, 500 gold. And what I gain is only 24%. So I need to get one new loader. Oh, the other thing I could do is I could take the loaders from here. Okay, he's got 0. And he's got 68%. So I could take this loader, send him to the barracks, move him into here, and now I got myself a loader that has a decent amount of camo. And the Renault GR, I could recruit somebody new at the regiment level, and I'm fine. I want this crew is going to last me a while, so I want to make sure I've got a good crew over here. And the Star 42, like I said, does not have a loader to swap in. Now these guys are at 82%. I would love for them to be in this other tank. So it's, if I recruit somebody, okay, this is very important, so pay attention on this. If I recruit somebody, I have to pay 200 gold, and he's going to start at 0. I don't want him to start at 0. If I go to my barracks, I can get this guy at 24%, but that's a very little start, and it would cost me 500 gold. Or I could take one of these guys, pay the 500 gold, get 82% for the skill level that he starts at, and then pay just and have a driver that has nothing. And I will be happy with that. That's what I want. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this driver over here, and I'm going to make him a loader on this tank, the AMX 105 AM. So we're going to change to SPG AMX 105 AM. He's going to become the loader, and his skill will be camouflage. Everything else really doesn't matter, because the adrenaline rush won't matter, because if you've got 10% of your hit points left, you're dead in any second now. So we're going to put him there, and it's a really high number, and we're going to... oh, do we have somebody over here? And we are going to recruit somebody new to be the driver, and we'll pay for the 75%. Okay, let's see what we got here. 82% is the highest. I would love for this commander to have something higher than 25%. Driver doesn't matter. He's not going anywhere. He's not going to drive anywhere. And you really only get spotted at the end of the game, so I am okay with just... Is this this is a driver? I'm going to pay for the 75% level. And the reason why is because we're only going to do 15,000 worth of experience. And if I use the free experience, I'm really only going to do 12,000. So it's not enough for me. The crew's only going to go up by 12,000 experience. It's not that much. So I'm not going to pay for him to get retrained. I'm just going to do the free one. The loader, he's already at 68%. What would happen? He might go up to 70% or 69% after a few games. So I'm not going to pay for it. I'm not going to pay for it. I'll wait until he gets into a different tank. The gunner is kind of important. You want to have a really good gunner. If you don't, your gunner is going to miss. But since, how many games am I going to play in this tank? I would say 6 or 7. So I'm not going to pay the gold in order to train him if I'm only going to play 6 or 7 games. And the same is going to be true with my commander. So that's how I've decided to deck out the crew on that tank. Same with this Renault G1. This tank, however, if you look at how much I have to play, I've got to play like 300,000 experience on that tank. So that's why I paid for that crew. This one I have to play 185,000 before I can level them up. This one, because I only play with the double and the triple victories and all that, it's going to be, and I've got, you know, free experience, it's not going to be that many games that I'm going to play. Okay, so that's how I select the crew for this tank. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. And if you would like to see anything else about crew selection or crew assignment, I've made lots of different videos which show these different concepts and how I pick my crew, and you're welcome to look at those. Thank you.